Hospitality, simple word, very hard to actually describe. And especially in the restaurant business here in the States and around the world, we all say we are in the hospitality business, but what does that mean?
Here in Dublin, we're walking down the street, and I think trying not to, but obviously clearly looking like tourists, and just off the street, people coming up, hey, are you looking for something? We're like, oh, we're looking for this. Why don't you come into the pub? We'll come and have a drink. We'll talk it over. I'll tell you all the great things to do. And it was just this like zest for life. I know that sounds corny, but just this wonderful sense of celebration.
If you are able to give hospitality, it is a way of life for you. You actually do it outside of your work also. And my mother used to always say to me, back home, that always say hello first. You be the first one, even if it's someone that you've fallen out with. If you're passing them on the street, always say hello first.
I tend to be the person that when someone comes in, will go up and greet them and engage them in small talk. It can be off-putting when you walk into a place, such as like a public event or something, and there's a bunch of people huddled around talking to each other. I'm always on the lookout for people who obviously seem a little taken aback with that, or aren't just going to go and immediately join a group of people and try to include them. And I think that might be an Irish characteristic.
Oh, I think so. We want Irish people. We want to talk to everybody.
Yeah, I do end up talking to everyone.
And he also likes to lecture and talk a lot to people in bars.
So I do like to do that. Because I can be a little bit entertaining.
It's the crack. It's the crack. There's a word for it. We call it the crack.
Yeah, the Irish pub back in the day, that was where the news came from. It was the art of conversation. And, even the beers that are, Guinness, Harpsmiths, Kilkenny, they are session beers. They're not high in alcohol. They're there so that you actually converse and everything else, that it's a session.
My aunt used to always say that part of being Irish was great, that she enjoyed, is you can commiserate. And what she meant was when there's sad times, you can sit there and still tell jokes with your brother and your sister and have a beer after a funeral and reminisce about someone. And she said it was always easier to cope with things that way, and I always thought that was impactful.
I know, it's a long story about it.
It was interesting. Okay, so this young fellow's coming by, and he's making a delivery. It was in the summertime. He was wearing a short sleeve T-shirt. So just below the sleeve on this arm, I could see the bottom of what was a family crest. You could tell. So I was like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting to think to myself. And then so I said, hey man, hey, show me the rest of that tattoo. And sure enough, I'm like, dude, what is your name, man? And he told me, it's Michael Haggerty. And I go, I'm Michael Haggerty. How do you spell it? And he spelled it for me. I go, that's how I spell my name. I said, man, where are you from? And he goes, I'm from Oswego, New York. And I said, we're from Oswego, New York.
My grandfather, his name was John Barry, grew up in Castletownshend, Ireland, which is in County Cork, in the southeastern part of Cork. My grandmother grew up in Myris, which is also in the southeastern. I believe it's actually about 6 miles apart. And they never knew each other until they met in Oswego, New York.
It's a pretty good-sized Irish population here in Syracuse, and I think that there's a lot of pride around that. So we started this tradition of doing a breakfast the morning of the big St. Patrick's Day parade.
Growing up, my parents were always having people over. My mom would cook a lot of food and have people over all the time.
When my family went back and we visited Ireland, and anyone that we met, they'd invite you in their house for tea, and there'd be a plate of cookies or biscuits.
Asking people to come, stay over, bring your family, the more the merrier. I think we like to entertain a lot, and that's a big part of it, and that's the one thing that I think is, we both grew up that way, in families that really wanted people to feel welcome.
To actually say, what is it? As you can see, we are having a very difficult time about saying exactly what it is, but it's so, it isn't...
It's slightly magical,
It isn't what you do for somebody, it's just how you make them feel.
Yeah.
It's like being in love with somebody. Really,
Irish love everybody. We're in love with everybody.
How do you describe that?